At this point in the course, I think it's a good idea for us to review what is meant by breaking down a script. When a script is written by a writer, it's visualized in their imagination as a story, but it's not really put in a technical way of creating the story the way a crew would with all their expertise. So in order for the crew to bring that script to life, to make it visual with the camera and the sound and everything else, we need to break it down scene by scene so that all the components that all the different departments that are working on can bring to the script and make it come to life for the editor. We need to have specific notes from each department, what they're going to contribute, because a movie is a contribution of all sorts of talent, many different departments besides script. Obviously, we got the camera, we got director, we've got production designer, sound. Everybody's going to bring their genius to bring this story to life. In order to do that, we need to have notes about how they're going to do it, given the way the script is written. Let's look at the way our script is written. We have a very simple opening shot here. We have exterior house day. This line here is what we call a slug line. Slug lines are each scene that are determined by interior exterior. So each scene is broken down into an interior exterior shot, and it's given a time of day, day or night. So we have here in our movie, exterior house day. That's the scene, that's the slug line. And in order to get that scene visualized, we need to add the action to the scene, which then follows below the slug line. In this case, I put normal house in a normal middle class neighborhood. Pretty generic, but I want to give you an idea that a script doesn't have to be very specialized or specific to get everybody's talent to bring it to life. It has to be a blueprint so that everybody can add their contribution. It doesn't have to be peerless prose. It doesn't have to be novelistically overly descriptive. It just has to supply enough information for everybody to add their contribution. So here is another way of doing it. We could say exterior house day, 2-bedroom house in middle class neighborhood. Well, a little more descriptive to give locations and everybody an idea. Okay, I want this to be a middle class house, and you can imagine what that is, but it's a 2-bedroom house. There's a certain size I want you to imagine. Or we can get just a tad more descriptive, 2-bedroom house in a middle class neighborhood showing signs of where. We can add the mood that goes with the genre. So maybe it shows signs of wear, or maybe it's an upper class house that's overly clean and shiny and well kept and everything. It depends on the script, of course, but we can add a certain amount of modifiers, but we don't want to be saying that the shutters are green, the flowers are purple, because that's up to our different artistic people that we've hired to bring this movie to life. So we don't want to step on their toes. We don't want to tell the camera person what to do. We want to tell art department what to do. Let them add to this general project we call a movie. So for us, we had exterior house day, upper middle class house in a quiet neighborhood. I put out as specific enough. And when I introduce the main character, Julie, we always introduce that character in caps. Whenever you introduce a new character in script, it's always in capital letters. And then you give a brief description of that character, very brief. Their age, a couple salient characteristics, maybe their hair, their clothing. You don't want to get so specific that the wardrobe people are constrained. You want to give them some freedom, creative freedom, but you want to give us an idea what you're thinking of. And so here we have Julie stepping out of the car in her sweatshirt and ripped jeans, and she approaches the house and hesitates. So we tell the director what the action is, and they decide how to make that happen. And then the front door is going to be a very important aspect here because it's open. So that point of view she has, seeing the front door that's open, we capitalize the front door is open because that's the next thing visually we're going to see as the story develops. And then we go back and look at her and her reaction to that, because all acting is mostly reaction. She has a puzzled, curious look, and she approaches the house. So that tells the action that we have with that shot and that scene, and that's one scene right there, followed by an interior scene, interior house day, another slug line. We have her enter the house, and we want to keep those verbs present tense because that's how the movie is going to be seen. That's how we write the script. She asks, "Hello, is anybody home?" And then we add a sound cue to help set the mood of the piece. The wind chimes stir, and then we show her again her reaction or concerned look as she cautiously moves into the house. So we set the kind of pace that she's going to be using as she enters the house. But that's two scenes right there. Very simple scenes, but those are two scenes. And in the script, when we break it down, we take scenes and we break them down into eights because pages are 8 inches long. If they were longer, we'd break them down into different increments, but 8 inches is good. So the smallest increment is about an inch, so that's 1/8 of a page. We break our scenes down into eighths of a page because we find that for a movie to take a day's worth of shooting is usually 3 to 3 to 4/8 pages a day. Sometimes it's less, but we can actually determine by breaking down the eighths of a page how long the shoot's going to take. So every scene is going to have so many eighths of a page, and that will go into creating the schedule for our shoot. So here we have an example of someone's dialogue here, and we have the DP and director working together. So we have a wide shot. What they'll do in their script breakdown is write down the shots that they envision next to the action that's taking place. So here we can see the script is going on, and they have a 2-shot followed by a wide shot. So they're breaking the script down so that they can get their shots in, and then on the other side they're putting kind of maybe some moves for the camera, like a dolly move, and that 2A and 3A is just a different setup. Every time we have a different setup, we have a different number on our slate. So to reprise again the shots that we're looking at, I think we remember from an early lesson with extreme long shot, very long shot, medium shot, medium close up, big close up, extreme close up. This is just an example for us to recall what we're talking about here. But I think this is a good picture here generally. If you're framing your shots, what we mean by close-ups and medium shots and everything. So when I shoot on my cell phone a shot that's a medium close-up, like I did last week, or I guess it was a medium shot last week, or a close-up, then you need to match the shot when you upload your content to be in a similar frame to the shot we have. So if I have a full shot, you probably should match it with a full shot of what she's looking at. If it's a medium shot, maybe it's a medium shot of what she's looking at, because we don't want to be throwing our audience by having them jarred by the disproportionate of our matching shots. Here's a good example of an establishing shot. One of the things I noticed on our early efforts is that we wanted a house, but we never really got an establishing shot. Not the whole house. We had portions of houses, but not the whole house. To establish a shot, it's a big thing. Usually you want the whole enchilada. So I noticed we were doing medium shots and getting portions of it, but didn't quite establish it. So here's a medium shot, which is mostly what we've been doing, because we haven't really got a full establishing shot. Perhaps it's the phone. It's harder to do it that way. But I noticed we haven't achieved that. Medium shots we're good at, so this is a classic medium shot, cowboy shot, and then close-up. I think we've already established that. And here's an extreme close-up. We haven't established that. One of the reasons is because it's hard to do it with a cell phone. Here's what happens when we get the script and we break it down. We create a shot list. We being the DP, camera operator, and director, and you list the shots on one side, the scene that that shot is taking place in, the type of shot. So it could be scene 3, and the shot is number 10 in our shot list, and the type of shot might be a dolly close-up, and you do one-line description. Every shot will be then listed, so you can go in a certain day, and the shot list for that day might have like 25 shots, and you'll know exactly what scenes will take place in and what kind of shot they'll have. Here's an example of a shot list sketched out. So they have this opening scene, and then they have, you can see, medium shot, long shot, and then have a one-line descriptor of each scene. And that's in the business called a one-liner, when we can sum up what the shot is and the action in one line. So this is what they're doing to break down the shot list before they put it into that list I just showed you. Here's a very extensive shot list where you can get more specific. You can have the location, the shot description, how you're going to frame it, wide shot, etc., the action, dollying, craning, panning, Then the dialogue covered by the actors in the shot, the props, because we might want an insert shot, and certain notes. So this is a good extensive shot list that has to happen. And here's a look at an electronic slate. I want you to look at this because notice it's 50:07:17. That's 50 minutes. That's 50:07. That's like that 7 is a minute, and the 17 is I'm sorry. 50 minutes, 7 seconds, and then there's tenths of a second. That 17 is tenths of a second. So when we shoot, I think one of the things I noticed early on is that we were talking about how long the shoot would take to do a couple pages. Well, we really don't take that long. Our shot length is really limited to the seconds here. For example, take a look at this. This is a sheet. It's a continuity sheet taken on one setup. This is the third setup, or the third scene, and they set it up 3 or 4, 5 times. They got A, B, C, D, E, F setup. So every time they moved the camera in this scene in a different setup, they gave it a different letter on the slate. But look at how long these setups take. We're talking here, you know, seconds, not minutes, but seconds for these shots. Very, very short time. When we say 44, we're talking 44 seconds. We say 35, we're talking 35 seconds. Because remember the decimals on tenths. So we got all these seconds adding up for one scene. How long is that taking? That's not taking that long. We've got maybe 10 total minutes for the whole scene. What takes long is the setup between moving the camera and adjusting the lights, but the shots themselves are rarely longer than 20 seconds. Here's another sheet that shows you continuity log from a shoot. Just to reiterate, this is the fourth scene in some movie, and they got A, B, C, D, E, F, so they got about 4 or 5 setups, but look how long those shots are in that time. That's 15, 25, 24. Those are, you know, those are tenths of a second. That's not very long. Are we getting there? I mean, we might get either that or they've moved it so it's maybe 15 seconds. Either way, however they've justified their time log, we're not talking more than a minute for any of those shots. Does that make sense? We're not talking. Very rarely will a shot last more than a minute, and then it will be an establishing shot with a big crowd scene or something. So when it comes to time, I'm basically saying don't get hung up on allowing yourself too much time. You're not going to have too much time, but don't get hung up about it. We tend to do that in movies. We tend to get hung up on time a lot because time is money. But you remember, you got your stopwatch. It'll tell you that each shot you're doing isn't taking that much time at all. So in the end, you're going to find that if we're going to do our short movie, it wouldn't take 3 or 4 days to shoot. It might take just a morning or an afternoon to shoot.